And so now moving forward is ever forward is kind of growing a little bit, and then the mask we live in comes into play. I guess, when did the mask really become something that you focused on, that you really named?
Yeah, and so we did that activity in the doc, and they invited us to be a part of this documentary. I've heard about documentaries before, but I didn't know fancy documentaries. So I thought they were going to come in with a little camcorder and they were going to be like recording me doing some activity with students. And I was like, okay, yeah, come on in. And they say, well, um, I said, you should go to the other club though. The other club, the young men are like super on top of it. They're like, they've been working together for like 3-4 years. They're like, it's a strong club. And they were like, well, where are you at? I said, well, I'm at this other school, but these young men, they don't open up. And they were like, well, we want to see where you work. I said, well, there is going to be a lot of resistance, you know. When we do check-ins on a scale from 1 to 10, everybody in that circle is a 10. Maybe there's 1 9 over there, but they're all 10s. Now, I'm the dean. So every suspension, every referral, every incident usually comes through my office. No, you're not a 10. No. That's not 10. That's not 10 behavior. You got kicked out of 5 classes today. How are you a 10? You know what I mean? But see, in the circle, I can't tell their business. I know what's going on because I probably suspended you yesterday. But in the circle, I got to just be like another man in the circle, right? So they were like, we're going to come film where you work. And I'm like, this is going to be bad because they're going to sit there and all pretend like they're so cool. And I was like, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? And I was just thinking, I want it to be meaningful for the people who are going to maybe watch this thing, but also meaningful for the young men. And I said, well, what if we don't have to talk about it? What if we don't talk about it? What if they just write it? And that's when the idea of the mask came. I said, well, and in a documentary, if you see the documentary, The Mask You Live In, I actually hand them a mask. I hand them a mask, I pre-print it, and I ask them just to write words on the front, and then things they let people see, and the things on the back they don't let people see. When they started throwing the pieces of paper at each other, you see the little snowball fight, they pick up a mask, and I say, okay, we're going to open these. Now, I under my chair is like 2 other activities that I have trying to figure out, right? I'm like, if this doesn't work, we got to try something else. And all of a sudden, when they got these pieces of paper, they had a little fun hitting each other with pieces of paper, you know, teenage young men like that, I think. A lot of them do. And they pick up this paper. Now this room is getting quiet because they realize their paper is in somebody else's hands. Or I don't know if they know yet. I just know I'm watching it happen. I'm watching it unfolding as it's happening. And all of a sudden I'll say, so we're going to open these papers and I want you to keep it to yourself. Okay. Open them. And then you just see like it get like super like quiet in there. And then we start going around reading the front and the back of these masks. And man, I tell you, I had never seen these young men open up. Like just to watch them in reverence and like space, like whole, like all I could do, I was just speaking from my heart. It's like what it was. And what I saw in them at this school, Fremont High School in Oakland, California, I saw young men who recognized that they had been operating under these really strong, tough, cool masks. And they were all going through similar stuff: pain, sadness, anger, fear. And none of them was talking about it with anybody. Now, my office one-on-one, we could talk about it because that's what we do. Like I don't have time to waste time with like soft questions, right? You're kicked out of class. Why are you out of class? Like, dude, you're too brilliant for this. This is ridiculous. So in my office one-on-one, I know they can go there, but in front of each other, they never would. And I can't tell their business, right? So, and when it worked, I was like, oh my goodness, that worked. And then, so I started like dabbling with that little activity in different places, like just with my staff, teachers, and then a couple of other places I did it. I still was kind of figuring it out. Then I went and saw the documentary. So I remember I'm in it doing the activity. I felt that it had a really deep resonance. Documentary comes out. I've done it with a couple other teacher groups, and I've done it with some people because I've seen it work. But it wasn't until I went to Sundance and saw the documentary, and I watched the outside. I watched me, like, because I hadn't seen me. I'd only been in the place seeing it there. But when I watched it from the outside, like I was blown away. Because I didn't see some of the things that were happening in the room. There was young men crying on the side, like they were tearing up. But they're too tough, so they were just like keeping they didn't let people see it. But you could see it in the video. I didn't see it from where I was sitting, And then I knew that it was about to take off. And I think that is so. We started doing this workshop all over. And one of the things that happened was originally, remember, I was printing masks. One of my interns, we went to a workshop in Burlingame in the Bay Area. He had 2 jobs, markers and masks. Got it? Markers and masks. We drive over the night before, so we don't have to try and wake up at 5 a.m. to get in the Bay Area traffic. We stay at the hotel, the conference, wake up, get ready for the workshop, going down for breakfast. I'm like, where are the markers and masks? Masks. There's no masks. I'm like, you only have markers and masks. Like, please tell me you have the masks. No masks. I'm like, okay, so I go down to the print center. You know, lots of hotels, depending on where you live, the print center's copier machine is often broken. Somebody tried to fix it, and this just okay. The front desk, can you print? I can print 2 copies for you. I know, I need like 80 copies. No, we can't do that. Where's the closest Kinko's copy machine? Like, sorry, you got to go like 18 miles down that way. Blah blah blah.
Oh, no,
literally, the activity is about masks. If I don't have masks, how are we going to do this activity? So then, a moment of brilliance. I'm like, I told my intern, I said, I need you to go find some plain blank paper. Just give me some plain blank paper. He comes back with 11 by 17 pieces of paper. I'm like, what am I doing with 11 by 17 pieces of paper? People are going to knock each other out with these pieces of paper. But it was all we had. So we had 11 by 17 pieces of paper. We passed one out to each person, you know, it's bigger than their lap, you know, so they're trying to, and literally that was the first time I had people draw their own mask. And after that workshop, I mean, when they bought, you bought 11 by 17 piece of paper up, it's a ball. People were getting popped in the face. It was totally unforgettable, but that is how it happened. And when I got home that day, and I'd been keeping masks because I thought something told me just keep them. I got home that day and I smoothed them all out, and the different designs that were coming out of all these different people, it was like, this is how we're going to do it from now on. Everyone's going to draw their own mask. And it was just like, yes. It was like the moment of like how the tragedy turns into, not tragedy, but it was if your job is to do masks and you can't do masks, then that's tragedy for your work. But
right,
it turned into the biggest revelation, and so that's how it happened. That's how it took off, and then we started doing workshops all over for free, like all over, and it started working. Like, we weren't counting them at that time. I was just collecting them. I was saving them because like I just felt really deeply connected to them, And then the movement, like we decided, in 2017, 2016, taking off the mask workshop. That was one of our college trips, and we said, look, we're gonna make a goal out of it. We're gonna make a goal. And originally, I wanted to go 1 million, and I let fear get in the way, and so I started with 100,000. And just this past summer, we elevated to the 1 million mask movement. And so we've collected masks from all over the world, right? Like more than 25 countries. And actually, a package of masks just came in because some schools are going back and teachers are doing the activity with their students, and they're finding out that, what we've seen and what we know is that there's so much more to us. There's so much more to each of us than anybody can see by looking at us, right? And even though now we're wearing these masks, these personal protection masks, we call the masks of emotional disconnection, right? That cause me to be able to be in this space and keep everything light. And there's all kind of stuff going on, right? There's all kind of stuff happening, right? And where do I have that place, a safe place to go and be like, I'm not gonna keep this to myself, Maybe lots of things we do keep to ourselves, but there's so many things that we could talk about, right? And so, that's how the movement they started. And then it was began to grow and blossom. And, I've seen some masks that absolutely break my heart, right? And they're anonymous. And the beauty part of that is somebody felt comfortable sharing part of their truth. And hopefully it opens up the door. And what we see in those workshops, like the ones I just showed you, these 2 that I showed you earlier, like this is a 15-year-old male from Tiburon. Tiburon is in the Bay Area. So, so the words on the front, I'm gonna read them, but that's the mask. It says, humor, kindness, and honesty. That's the front. And on the back, it says struggle, challenge, and anger. That's the mask. This one, the person didn't even tell what city they're in. They didn't tell what their age is, so we don't know. But this is the mask they drew. And on the front, it says smiley, goofy, laid back, and chill. That's the front. And the back says quiet, shy, crazy, sheltered. And then it says parents, myself, and family. So they don't talk about. And over again. And I'll show you one of the ones from the original type of mask. And I'll show you this last one here. Because this one is one that it will be in the book. So I'm at the workshop. This is one of the, this is a paper mask. This is actually, it's done with paper, and you can see it's wrinkly. It's all wrinkly because it was balled up. But look at the front. This is the mask, and then let's read the words on the front. It says happy and smart and outgoing and caring. Yeah, see that?
Yep.
And you probably noticed some words that were bleeding from the other side because they're using big markers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is the word on the back.
Wow.
18 times. Like anger. Just 18 times written. When I saw this mask, I was just like, wow. I've looked at this mask 100 times at least in my hands. And just knowing that, where do you go? Where do you go to talk about all the stuff that's inside? Or do you just let it boil up and bottle up and stuff it? I mean, as a teacher, I saw it. As an administrator, I saw it. As now on the outside of schools, working in schools, I see it. I see it in the data of our prison system here in the U.S. 94% of people in prison are men. 94%. I mean, statistically, it just says something's wrong with men. I don't think that something's wrong with men. I think that men have been taught to only show half of their, or less than half of their emotional expansiveness.
Yeah.
And therefore, what do? Those emotions are coming out. I mean, professionals say that it's energy in motion. Emotions are energy in motion. Where's the energy going to go? It has to go somewhere. It doesn't disappear.
Yep.
It has to go somewhere. So you're going to stuff it. Okay. Where's it going to go? It's going to go into your eating habits. It's going to go into your substance control. It's going to go into your heart, your liver, your body parts. It's going to go into your blood system. It's going to go into your brain, your heart, your lip. Like where is it going to go? It's going to go somewhere. And maybe you can store it for many, many years. Maybe you can even stick it to your deathbed with you. But what do we hear people say all the time? I wish I had spent more time talking about. I hear men all the time, and not only men, but people say, my father, when he was about to go, he said, I wish I had. And I think that our job is, my job, this is where I work, but this is why my calling is to give all people, the space to be more of their full self while we're here. Not on our way out the door, not while we're taking our last breaths, but to more expand our ability to be human and enjoy this human experience more fully. That's what I want. That's what I'm hoping for. So every time I touch a mask, I see a mask, and those masks that showed up to you today in the package, I am just inspired. And, maybe, I don't know when we'll get to 1 million. I could care less about that. But I think that every student who makes one and who's willing to share their 3 words on the front and back, they hopefully become more alive and more recognizing that they're not the only ones. Yeah.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate you tuning into that, and we hope you found that helpful.
If you're interested in watching more professors give us a deep dive in some of their areas of expertise, please click on the video below.
And also subscribe right here. We hope you have a good day.
See you in the next one.
See ya.